The research station Yelvara 9 orbited a methane giant at the edge of the Keth expanse, home to 43 alien scientists, 2 maintenance drones, and 1 human. Her name was Grace. She had arrived 6 weeks ago as part of the interspecies exchange program, a diplomatic gesture dressed up as science, and in those 6 weeks she had become, by unanimous alien consensus, the most unsettling creature aboard the station. Not because she was violent. Not because she was loud, though she was, sometimes, at a volume that made the Vorkai cluster their earfolds shut. It was something far worse. She was cheerful. She hummed while calibrating ion spectrometers. She laughed when experiments failed. She once dropped a full sample tray, shattered 7 vials, and said, "Well, that's Tuesday," with the serene smile of someone who had made peace with chaos at a molecular level. Kevin, a Drethari xenobiochemist with iridescent blue scales and the social conscience of a gas cloud, had taken it upon himself to investigate this anomaly. "She is performing," he told his labmate Soli. "Humans mask fear behind laughter. It is well documented." "You have read 2 documents," said Soli. "2 thorough documents," Kevin corrected. "I intend to find her limit. Every creature has a breaking point." Soli looked at him with 4 eyes, 2 of which expressed clear doubt. "This will go badly for you." Kevin was already planning. The prank had taken him 3 days to construct. In those 3 days, Kevin had synthesized a compound that, by every biochemical metric available to Drethari science, was a devastating neurotoxin. It was used in controlled settings to sedate large predators on his homeworld. The dose in the vial, small, amber, innocent-looking, was enough to render a Drethari unconscious for 8 hours and cause a Vorkai to temporarily lose spatial reasoning. For a human, the calculations suggested immediate gastric distress, followed by mild systemic disruption, followed by what Kevin's research described as significant psychological destabilization. In other words, panic. Finally, he had also prepared a medical override ready to inject at a moment's notice. He was unsettling, not murderous. The plan was simple. He would tell Grace it was a new nutritional supplement. The station had been trialing alien-compatible nutrient compounds for months, so she had no reason to be suspicious. She would drink it. She would feel awful. She would, at last, crack. He would watch. He would understand. He would have data. Kevin found Grace in Lab 7, annotating a series of mineral scans with one hand and eating something brown and compact with the other. "Is that food?" he asked. "Protein bar," she said without looking up. "Want one? They taste like sadness but they keep the lights on." She tapped her sternum. "No. I have brought you something, actually." He held out the vial. "A new supplement compound. Dr. Rithaki asked me to distribute them to the exchange personnel. Improves cognitive stamina during long shifts." Grace set down her protein bar. She looked at the vial. Then she looked at Kevin. Kevin had a good face for lying, expressionless, reptilian, professionally neutral. Grace picked up the vial, uncorked it, and sniffed it. Kevin held his breath. She shrugged, tilted her head back, and swallowed the entire thing in one motion, like a person who had spent years taking bad-tasting medicine and had simply stopped negotiating with it. Then she set the empty vial on the counter and went back to her mineral scans. Kevin waited. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Grace scratched the back of her neck absently. Tingly. Tingly, Kevin repeated. "Yeah. Kind of like when you eat too much wasabi? Or when your foot falls asleep but in your throat." She rotated her jaw experimentally. "Is that normal?" Yes, Kevin said automatically. "Cool." She returned to her annotations. Kevin stared at her. His medical override was in his pocket. He had not needed it. She was annotating. "Do you feel any distress?" he asked carefully. A little warm, Grace said. But the thermostat in here has been broken for a week, so. She shot him a sideways look. Why? Should I feel distressed? No, Kevin said, too quickly. Kevin. Yes. What was in that vial? A pause. A compound. What kind of compound? Another pause. Longer this time. A sedative compound. Used for large predators on Dreth. I had calculated it would cause you moderate distress. He straightened his scales. I was conducting an investigation into human psychological thresholds. Grace blinked at him. Then she looked at the empty vial. Then back at Kevin. So, she said slowly, you gave me a large predator tranquilizer. Yes. As a prank. As an experiment. Kevin. She held up a finger. That's a prank. He opened his mouth. That is absolutely a prank, she said, but she wasn't angry. She was doing the thing he found most disorienting, she was starting to smile. Okay. First, bold move. I respect it. Second, she glanced at the vial again, do you have more? Kevin's translator struggled with the sentence. He made it repeat. Do you have more? You want more, he said. I mean, the tingly throat thing is kind of interesting. Is it doing anything to you? Biologically, I mean. Are you getting data? Kevin looked down at his scanner, which he had been running covertly from his belt. He looked at the readings. He looked at Grace. He looked at the readings again. Your neurological activity has increased by 12%, he said, baffled. Your stress indicators are lower than your baseline. I told you I was warm. It's kind of pleasant, actually. She stretched her arms over her head. Like a muscle relaxer but for the soul. Kevin sat down on a lab stool. This was not in his too thorough documents. I could have killed you, he said. And now his voice had something different in it, not guilt exactly, but the precursor to guilt. The moment before a Drethari truly understood the weight of something. Probably not, Grace said. Humans are annoyingly hard to kill. We've been poisoning ourselves recreationally for about 10,000 years. She pulled up something on her datapad and slid it toward him. Coffee. Alcohol. Capsaicin, that's the spicy compound, we eat it on purpose for fun. We put nightshade family plants in our salads. We deep fry things that were already cooked. She paused. My grandmother drank something called gasoline punch at a New Year's party in 2031 and lived to 94. Kevin stared at the datapad. You choose to consume toxins, he said. We choose to consume everything, Grace said. Half of human cuisine started as someone going, what if I eat this thing that could kill me, but smaller and slowly. That's fermentation. That's cheese. That's sushi, Kevin. Do you know what raw fish does to most species? I do, Kevin said faintly. I have read the mortality statistics. Right. And we invented restaurants around it. She reclaimed her datapad. So. Was your experiment successful? Did you get your data? Kevin looked at his scanner again. Then at Grace, who had resumed eating her protein bar, entirely unbothered, mildly tingling, running a cognitive test on a neurotoxin the way another person might try a new tea. My hypothesis was wrong, he said. What was your hypothesis? That you were performing calm. That underneath, there was a breaking point waiting. Grace considered this. I mean, there is, she said. Everyone has one. Mine involves spreadsheets and people who chew loudly in silence. She gave him a level look. Alien predator tranquilizers aren't even in the top 20. Kevin was quiet for a long moment. Then, I apologize for the deception. It was reckless. Yeah, it was, Grace agreed, no heat in it, just honesty. Don't do it again. I won't. Good. She pointed at his scanner. Can I see those readings, though? I'm curious what it's doing to my serotonin receptors. Kevin handed her the scanner without thinking. She studied it with the focused delight of someone who had just found a new data point in her own biology interesting. He watched her for a while, this strange, soft-looking creature from a planet that had tried for millions of years to kill its own dominant species through weather, predators, disease, famine, and its own cooking, and had responded by becoming curious about all of it. No armor. No weapons. No natural toxin resistance in any database he had ever accessed. Just the audacity of a species that had looked at a hostile universe and said, "Interesting, tell me more." Kevin made a note in his research file. Human psychological threshold, not yet located. Recommend significantly expanding scope of study. Also recommend informing Dr. Rithaki about the vial inventory. He paused. Also recommend not telling Grace about the vial inventory. He deleted that last line. She would probably just ask for more.